Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Council meeting of the 25th of August 2025. Before we commence the meeting, I request that all mobile telephones are turned off or switched to silent. Thank you. We'll now commence by reading the Acknowledgement of Country, and I call upon Councillor Franco to read the Acknowledgement of Country.
Okay. I acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people as the traditional owners and custodians of this land and pay our respects to their elders and any elders here that may be present with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Franco. My name is Councillor Sophie Tawney and I'm the Mayor of Boroondara City Council. And I'll start by introducing my fellow councillors. Seated to my left at the horseshoe table in the council chamber are Councillor Lisa Hollingsworth, Councillor Shimmer Abuki, Councillor Wes Galt, Councillor Michael Nolan, Councillor Felicity Sinfield, and to my right of the horseshoe is Councillor Victor Franco, who's our Deputy Mayor, Councillor Mal Osborne-Smith, Councillor Rob Baillieu, Councillor John Friend-Pereira, and Councillor Chris Pattis. I also acknowledge in attendance this evening our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Philip Storer, and our Manager of Governance and Legal, Mr. Brian Wee. There are other officers in attendance tonight and they will be introduced as required. Please note the council meeting is being live streamed on the council YouTube page so you can watch proceedings of the meetings, councillor deliberations and voting. The meeting will also be recorded and made available on the council website soon after the meeting. I will now move to apologies. Mr. Wee, are there any apologies for this evening?
Through you, Madam Mayor, no apologies this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Wee. We'll now move to item 2, adoption and confirmation of the minutes of the council meeting held on the 28th of July 2025. Councillors, can I please have a motion to adopt and confirm the minutes? Councillor Baillieu.
So moved, Chair.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Abuki.
Happy to second.
Councillors, is anyone opposed? I will now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We will now move to item 3, declaration of conflict of interest of any councillor or council officer. Councillors and council officers, are there any conflicts of interest that you wish to foreshadow for the matters on the agenda tonight? Councillor Nolan.
I wish to foreshadow that I have a material conflict.
Thank you, Councillor Nolan. Please raise the conflict of interest when we reach general business. I note that I will also be declaring a material conflict of interest for a leave of absence at the time. We will now move to item 4, deputations, presentations, petitions and public submissions. Mr. Wee, are there any petitions?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there are 2 petitions for tonight. One is about parking on Shearlaw Avenue and another is in relation to introducing a cat curfew. I note that in that petition, it lists 32 petitioners, when in fact, on review, there are 403 petitioners for that petition as updated.
Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion in relation to the petitions as appearing on the screen? Councillor Baillieu.
Happy to move a motion as recommended.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Osborne-Smith.
Yes, it'll be subject to that correction. Is that right, Mr. Wee?
Yes, if we scroll up, the papers originally noted 32 signatories. There are 403 signatories.
So we can read that as amended, is that correct?
That's correct. The motion will refer, the motion below, the officer's recommendation will refer the full petition to officers to consider.
Thank you. On that basis, I'm happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Osborne-Smith. Councillors, is anyone opposed? I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Councillors, will now move to informal meetings of councillors. Is anyone prepared to move a motion in relation to informal meetings of councillors as appearing on the screen? Councillor Osborne-Smith.
Sorry.
Councillor Friend-Pereira.
Yeah, I'll move the officer's recommendation as shown on the screen. Thank you.
And do I have a seconder? Councillor Nolan.
Happy to second.
Councillors, is anyone opposed? I will now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We'll now move to item 6, which is public question time. Council encourages the submission of public questions prior to 12 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Questions submitted prior to 12 noon will be provided with a detailed verbal response as well as a response in writing. Those submitted after 12 p.m. will receive a verbal response if possible, but will otherwise be taken on notice for a more comprehensive written response to be provided in due course. Mr. Wee, do we have any public questions?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we have 3 public questions this evening from 2 members of the community.
Thank you for the questions. All questions have been allowed in accordance with Chapter 2 of the Governance Rules. All questions will receive a written response in due course. First question is from Ian Hundley and the subject of meeting recording of names. With a view to enhancing open democratic process in the City of Boroondara, will Council forthwith record the names of individual contributors to Council proceedings in Council records that are available to the public, including in agenda papers and the minutes of the Council meetings, and to do so with the same straightforward process as has applied for many years for individual contributors to public question time? I call upon the Manager of Governance and Legal to respond to this question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Hundley, for your question. While we recognise there's value in recording the names of submitters in reports to allow like-minded individuals to connect, Council finds that in the relatively small area that Boroondara encompasses, with a population of about 180,000, like-minded citizens are often already in contact about key issues. For example, there are strong, vocal and easily contactable groups for heritage, the environment, recreation and pets. On the other hand, Council has found that submitters have regularly raised concerns and objected to their details being made public. Many do not want to be contacted by other community members. Officers believe that not disclosing the personal information of submitters reflects the obligations in the Information Privacy Principles in the Privacy and Data Protection Act, which requires Council to be cautious in disclosing personal information and allowing anonymous contact with Council. Practically, there can be hundreds of submitters about a given topic. Consequently, accurately disclosing the content and substance of submitters presents an administrative burden that outweighs the benefits of allowing community connection as proposed. Finally, Council believes, based on its experience, that disclosing the personal information of submitters can discourage community members to contact Council to engage. From a policy setting, Council prefers to preserve anonymity to encourage more community engagement and participation.
Thank you, Mr. Wee, and thank you, Mr. Hundley, for your question. Next question, also from Mr. Hundley. Penalties available under the Local Government Act. In view of the manifest inadequacy of maximum penalties available to local government agencies in important areas of council responsibility, including for unauthorised removals of canopy trees on private properties, reference the Tree Protection Local Law, and the illegal dumping of rubbish, the Amenity Local Law, will Council pursue effective levels of penalty via a campaign together with the MAV, other local government authorities and citizens to secure urgent amendments to the Local Government Act in the 2025 sitting of the Victorian Parliament, which is indicated to conclude on 4th of December? I call upon the Manager of Governance and Legal to respond to this question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And through you, thank you for your question, Mr. Hundley. Council and councillors regularly advocate for and pursue increases in these maximum penalties through the MAV with other councils and directly when meeting state government elected officials. This has occurred regardless of sitting periods of state government parliament.
Thank you, Mr. Wynne. Thank you for your question, Mr. Hundley. Third question is from George Demetrios, and the subject is Draft Road Materials Policy. On the 7th of August, Save Boroondara's Bluestone Heritage contacted council staff requesting the names of the 15 heritage overlay precincts that are noted in the revised draft road materials policy as having basalt mentioned in their statements of significance. We are as yet to receive a reply, so would like to ask if the exact precinct names or numbers could be made available to members of the Boroondara community. I call upon the Director of Places and Spaces to respond to this question.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the question, and I will just read the 15 precincts by their description, and these have been provided prior to tonight's meeting with hyperlinks to the Heritage Victoria website for each. They are the Angle Road Precinct, the Benool Estate Precinct, the Brickfields Environs Precinct, Burwood Road Precinct, Essington Estate and Environs Precinct, Fairmount Park Estate Precinct, Glenferrie Road Precinct in Kew, Iona Estate Residential Precinct, the Longford Estate and Environs Precinct, St John's Wood and Sages Paddock Precinct, Smith's Paddock Burwood Reserve Precinct, Victoria Road Precinct, Prospect Hill Road Precinct, Camberwell, Barrington Avenue Precinct in Kew, Mailing Road Shopping Centre and Residential Environs, and the Barry Street Precinct in Kew. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freer, and thank you for your question, Mr. Demetrius. Now we'll move to item 7, notices of motion. Mr. Wee, do we have any notices of motion?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there are no notices of motion this evening.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 8, the presentation of officer reports. Item 8.1, the draft Boroondara Community Plan for 2025 to 2035. This item will be introduced by Kate McCackey, Director of Community Services, and Nicole White, Manager of Strategy and Performance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, good evening, councillors. Tonight we're seeking endorsement of the draft Boroondara Community Plan 2025 to 35 for its final community consultation stage. We're also seeking approval of the 25-26 targets for the draft plan's performance measures. The Boroondara Community Plan is our key strategic document, integrating our community vision, council plan, and municipal public health and wellbeing plan. It helps council to make decisions and allocate resources to ensure we deliver on what our community tells us is important. This is the community's plan, and it's been developed through extensive community engagement with over 5,600 contributions, including more than 5,400 survey responses and insights from 163 workshop participants. It is one of the largest community consultation processes we undertake, and we thank the community members and our partners who contributed their ideas. We have taken your feedback and used it to help shape the community vision and 4 key themes of community, environment, place, and council, plus 6 health and wellbeing priorities. The draft plan will be available for community feedback from the 27th of August to the 15th of September on Council's consultation website, Your Say Boroondara, and at our customer service centres. Community feedback will be considered and incorporated into the final draft scheduled for endorsement on the 27th of October. We recommend that Council endorse the release of the draft Boroondara Community Plan 25 to 35, which is attachment 1 for public consultation, with its associated consultation summary reports, which is attachments 2, 3 and 4. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Councillors, are there any questions of officers? No questions. Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion? Councillor Friend Pereira.
I would be happy to move the motion of the officer's recommendation as shown on the screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Osborne-Smith.
Yes, I'll be pleased to second. Thanks, Chair.
To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? Councillor Friend Pereira, as the mover, do you wish to speak?
Just
to the
briefly,
motion?
this has been a combination of a Herculean task by officers and community, and I think it really sets the direction for the next 3.5 years, or 3.25 years. So I would encourage all of the community to have a detailed look at it at this final chance for them to engage and be aware of the new vision for Boroondara.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Osborne-Smith, as a seconder, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Just a few words, Chair, if I may. I'd like to endorse Councillor John Friend Pereira's observations there and thank the council officer for a tremendous piece of work over many months to proactively engage with our community of all ages and places, and in and in numerous forums as well. So it's a job well done, and I'd like to congratulate them on the effort to produce this draft plan and commend it to the public for consultation going forward. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Osborne-Smith. I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. I'd like to make a brief statement about the community plan because tonight marks an important milestone for the City of Boroondara as we release the draft Boroondara Community Plan 2025 to 2035 for final community consultation. This plan is our city's most significant strategic document. It sets the direction for how and where we invest in our community, how we deliver services, and how we shape our neighbourhoods and open spaces over the next 10 years. It reflects our shared vision for a sustainable, connected and inclusive community, a place where all residents can thrive. The draft plan, as we've heard, has been shaped by the voices of more than 5,600 community members, from visits to parks and shopping centres to workshops and conversations. We've heard from people of all ages, backgrounds and experiences, and including over 1,150 young people. To everyone who contributed, on behalf of Council, I extend my heartfelt thanks for your open and honest thoughts on how we should serve our community. You told us things about things you cherish about Boroondara, our open spaces, our vibrant community life, our local identity, and access to high quality services like libraries and learning opportunities. We also heard your concerns about housing affordability, cost of living, climate change, traffic congestion, and the need for stronger community connections. This plan responds to those priorities. It builds on what we value and outlines how we'll navigate future challenges, whether it's managing growth responsibly, reducing emissions, supporting biodiversity, or expanding active transport options. It's a forward-looking plan that also stays grounded in the character and heritage that makes Boroondara special. But this plan hasn't been finalised just yet. We're now inviting everyone in our community to have a final say before the plan is finalised. Feedback at this stage is vital, so whether you've engaged already or are new to the conversation, this is your chance to help shape the future of our city. Together, we're building a Boroondara that's livable, inclusive and resilient, not just for today, but for generations to come. Thank you. Thank you. We'll now move to item 8.2, the June 2025 Quarterly Financial Report, which will be introduced by Sapphire Allen, our Acting Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to present the June 2025 Quarterly Financial Report, which includes detailed financial reporting for the full year result for the 24-25 year. Please note that these are interim year-end results while the accounts are still being finalised, and we do expect some changes after completion of the year-end audit by the Victorian Auditor General's Office, VAGO. Overall, Council has a sound financial position with a surplus result of 30.59 million compared to the 24-25 amended budget surplus of 19.92 million. Please note that although there is a surplus, that Council doesn't make a profit. The surplus result does include a range of carryover funds allocated to various projects and activities that are also set aside for future commitments within Council's long-term financial plan, as well as several non-cash items, which are accounting entries as well. Some positive items to note from an operating perspective are we did receive higher operating grants of $3.76 million, which is mainly due to the timing of the federal assistance grants being paid early for the 25-26 year. There was also an increase in user fees by $1.62 million. This is, of course, related to increased anticipated income for the Freeway Golf Course, the leisure and aquatic facilities, reinstatements and immunisation services. We also had an increase in interest on investments of $1.28 million due to current market conditions. And we had lower than anticipated bad and doubtful debts of $1.05 million. This is also partially offset by lower than anticipated developer open space contributions of $2.87 million. Further variances and explanations are also provided in attachment 1 of the report in your agenda papers. With regards to priority projects, there has been some delays in projects, primarily in transforming Burundara program. The underspend of 24-25 was experienced due to timing differences and the commencement of replacements of systems within the program. For capital works, Council delivered to target against the 24-25 amended budget with a 91% completion rate. And expenditure was $5.76 million below the year-to-date budget of $65.71 million. Overall, the financial position as at 30 June is satisfactory with a working capital of 3.32. And thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms Allen. Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Simfield.
No question. We have to move a motion when the time is right.
Thank you, Councillor Simfield. Any questions? Councillor Nolan.
Sorry.
No further questions? I do have one question. I think it's related to item 2.4, capital works. What is the original value of the QREC contract, and with any additional and agreed variations, what is the current value of that contract?
Thank you, Chair. I might direct that question to the Director of Places and Spaces, Daniel Freer, to answer that.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. There are essentially 4 contracts that make up the Kew Recreation Centre project, the main of which being the construction contract, but there are also an architectural contract and a project management contract, which is subject to report later this evening, as well as the 4th being a superintendent's contract. The current approved budget for the project is $78 million across each of those contracts. In respect to the ADCO construction contract, the adjusted contract sum, taking into account the recent heat pump approval of the project, is $70.2 million.
Thank you for that. Councillors, any further questions? No? Councillor Simfield.
I'd like to move the officer's recommendation, please.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Nolan.
Happy to second.
To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? Councillor Simfield, as the mover, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just to thank the officers for the presentation of this report to us and to commend it to my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. We will now move to item 8.3, the contract 2025/92, Library Collections, Furniture, Equipment and Associated Requirements. This item will be introduced by Tina Barakas, Manager of Library Service.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, councillors. Our report seeks Council's approval to award contract which covers the supply of library collections, furniture, equipment and related services. This contract will be delivered through Procurement Australia's new panel arrangement, which replaces our previous contract that expired at the end of June this year. There were some delays with the Procurement Australia tender process, so we used existing suppliers under delegation to keep things running smoothly in the interim. We're now looking to formalise the transition and ensure we remain compliant moving forward. The new contract gives us access to a broad panel of pre-qualified suppliers across 13 categories, including books, e-resources, shelving, trolleys and even outdoor furniture, which reflects libraries increasingly using outdoor spaces for programs and events. The suppliers have been included who best met the weighted criteria, including compliance, competitive pricing and alignment with industry best practice. Suppliers have also been included where they offer a special niche service or collection, for example, supplying books for children with special needs who have poor vision or dyslexia and language books. It's a 2-year contract with the option to extend for another 2 years, and the total forecast cost over the full 4-year term is just under 9.5 million, all within approved budget allocations. A robust evaluation process was undertaken by Procurement Australia, and the recommendation is to award the contract so we can continue delivering high-quality, responsive services to our community.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Pattis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Ms Barregas. I notice, for example, Category 1, the suppliers that we are recommending are on the panel. I think there's 13. I may be getting the number right, but there's a lot of suppliers. And when I look at the selection that we had, it was 15. So we basically have chosen 80 to 90% of the suppliers to be on the panel. And we had a ranking process. So my question is, would it not be better to pick the top 5 suppliers or the top 20 suppliers? And why is it that we also have suppliers there that fell fairly low on the ranking in terms of quality and price?
So there is a weighting that is applied for the applications that were received by Procurement Australia that include things like cost and, you know, the ability to deliver a particular quality of service. But suppliers are also predetermined based on the niche market that they're able to provide. So there may be very limited suppliers who have provide magazines that in languages other than English, for example. So even though they may have scored slightly lower, because they are the only supplier who is able to provide, you know, that product, they've been included on the list.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, I'll foreshadow a motion.
Thank you, Councillor Pattis. Councillor Galt.
Thanks very much. I'd just like to ask, the new Kew Library fit out, is that covered in this contract or separately covered in the Capital Works budget?
I think that is separate to the Capital Works budget.
It's separate to the Capital Works budget, so it is covered in this contract?
It's not covered, sorry, it's not covered in this.
It's not covered in this one. Okay, it's covered in the Capital Works budget. And what about other libraries? I believe there's a gradual program to reducing the height of the shelves for health and safety reasons. Are those changes embodied in this contract?
Partly will be. So at the moment we're reducing the height of the shelving by just not using the top shelves. So we're not actually replacing the shelving as yet, but this is the type of budget we're able to incorporate aspects of that when the time comes.
So you will pick up some of that in this budget provision.
Correct.
And the final one is, I guess we're making a progressive move to more online materials.
Mm-hmm.
Will the equipment that we're chasing onto this, or we will acquire onto this, cover that? And will there also be software contracts to cover what we need to cover in that?
So we are moving more towards digital resources. They're not necessarily cheaper, for the record, than a physical item. And so we're always assessing the best kind of mix of, product that we would be providing. Products are also increasingly more expensive, and the additional cost to prepare them for being on loan is also increasing, stickers and what have you. So, sorry, can you ask your question again? I'm so sorry.
In the move to using
more
online
digital,
materials,
sorry.
Yep. Have you got provision in the budget for this to cover those sorts of things?
We do. I think we're constantly assessing to see that we've got the right mix.
That's fine. Thanks very much.
No worries.
Thank you, Councillor Galt. Councillor Osborne-Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question, if I may, regarding the options. I assume that's an option that rests solely at the discretion of council to extend or not? Is that correct? Yeah. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is with regard to Table 1 under dot point 6, where it puts a breakdown of the budget type of the operation expense and the description of the expense. And we have an allowance for library IT hardware renewal. I just wanted to ask, is that including scanners, or is it typically computers? And that allowance, would it be rotated as need per library, or would you do individual libraries 1 year, one the next, one the next? How do you implement that?
It actually varies. So this amount that is here for the next year or this current year, around 230,000 of that is to replace or to upgrade the sorter and return chute at Kew Library. And then there is an additional, I'm going to get the figure wrong, it's about 130,000 to replace the AV equipment in all of our meeting rooms across all of the libraries. So when you tally that up, that's about 350,000. The other 50 is devoted to things that break that are incidental. So we've got self-serve kiosks in the libraries, for example. We've got people counters coming in, so they break down from time to time. They need to be replaced. The machine is, that's what that money's for.
Thank you. And if I might just have a follow-up, and do we lease the equipment or do we purchase it outright?
Combination. So some things we do lease, some we purchase outright.
Thank you for that. And sorry, the reason I asked about the lease was in the event there is a breakdown of equipment. I assume if it's leased, there'd be a provision to swap the equipment. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollingsworth. Councillor Friend-Pereira.
Thank you, Mayor. And following on a similar line, Ms. Bakasis, can you give some indication as to how many of our loans are e-based, electronic-based at the moment? And then following up on that, is our biggest line item here is library resources. Can you maybe expand on the wide range of resources that are covered under that?
So I might answer that one first. So I think $1 million might look like a lot of money to go into library resources, but when you think about all the resources we need to purchase that are across 7 locations and over the course of a year, you're looking at children's books, you're looking at picture books, you're looking at adult books, you're looking at fiction, non-fiction, you're looking at newspapers, you're looking at a whole lot of products, audio, DVDs, CDs, music things, and they're purchased across 7 locations. So that kind of accounts for, that particular figure. And I can't remember your other question. The 20%, so about 25%. So we've actually got a really good digital uptake of e-loans. So we're at about 25%. We anticipate that might plateau at some point, but that seems to be growing steadily.
Thank you. Councillor Pattis.
Madam Mayor, I'm delighted to move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Pattis. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Baillieu.
So seconded, Chair.
To assist the mover, is there anyone opposed? Councillor Pattis, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, briefly, if I may, Madam Mayor. Having had the pleasure of going to one of those 7 locations, namely Baldwin Library, and experiencing the rich choices that our community have, not just books for kids, but the wide range of resources that are available to the community, it becomes very apparent why such a big budget item is necessary for us to ensure that our community has access to these very beautiful, very rich resources. So I commend this motion for my colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Pattis. Councillor Osborne-Smith, do your lights on? Okay. I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Ms Barakis. Thank you, Ms Makaki. We'll move to item 8.4, contract variation on hospitality and events management, contract 2021-2031, This item will be introduced by Erica Samut, the Senior Coordinator of Civic and Cultural Facilities.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, councillors. Tonight, I'm presenting a proposal to extend the Hospitality and Event Management Contract 2021-231 with Essential Catering and Events for a further 2 years
until the 31st of October 2027, with an updated estimated contract value and 2 variations which are designed to make our venues more accessible and affordable for our community. This contract was awarded on the first awarded in October 2022 for a 3-year term with an optional 2-year extension. Last year, the contract delivered services of over 1,400 meetings and events across our 3 key venues, Camberwell Civic Precinct, Hawthorn Arts Centre and Kew Courthouse. The contractor has performed strongly, consistently meeting Council's requirements and receiving positive feedback from Council and community groups. Staff are well known to our Council and community groups, and its contractor has built up valuable knowledge of our venues and operations. For these reasons, extending the contract offers continuity, stability, and avoids disruption to our civic and cultural events. In financial terms, the updated estimated value of the contract is $3.38 million. This figure includes fixed costs and variable costs, ensuring the contract reflects the true scope of the services being delivered. The proposal introduces 2 key variations to improve accessibility and affordability for our community groups. Variation 1 will designate the Parkview Room at Camberwell Civic Precinct to be a self-catering space. This ensures that every council precinct has at least one venue where hirers can bring their own catering or engage an alternative supplier. Variation 2 will allow local, not-for-profit community groups with an annual turnover of under $1 million to bring in their own catering or use an alternative supplier in any of the venues covered by the contract. In summary, this proposal ensures continuity of high-quality hospitality event services and makes our venues more accessible and affordable for community groups. It strikes the right balance between sound financial management and supports social connection across Boroondara. I now put forward this proposal for your consideration, Madam Mayor, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Ms Wood. Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Pattis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to officers. As some companies in the news in the past have had problems associated with underpaying their staff in terms of award pay rates, do we, as part of either our tender process or our extension processes or our proactive operational processes, ensure that our suppliers are regularly audited for complying with all relevant pay awards? If so, how do we do that?
Thank you, Councillor Pattis, and through you, Madam Mayor. There are some clauses in our contract. Clause 15.16 relates to industrial awards and agreements. The supplier must comply with the terms of any relevant legislation or agreement in respect of its employees, comply with any applicable certified agreement or Australian workplace agreement, and ensure that any agents and subcontractors of the supplier also comply with the obligations imposed by this clause, 15.6. As far as management and monitoring, Council has the right to audit any of the contractor's financial or payroll reports with 10 days' notice.
Thank you. Councillor Sinfield.
No question, but happy to move a motion when the time's right.
I think the time is right.
The officer's recommendation, please.
Thank you, Councillor Sinfield. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Osborne-Smith.
I would be pleased to second. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? Councillor Sinfield, as a mover, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. Just briefly, I think the variations to this contract are exceptionally important, and thank you for listening to the community and to those who are seeking to use our civic spaces, particularly building on the not-for-profit sector in our community that we rely so heavily upon. I think it's really future-focused in ensuring that we continue to build those relationships and they have a place to flourish and grow. So thank you. I commend the motion to my colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Sinfield. Councillor Osborne-Smith, as a seconder, would you like to speak?
I'll just reiterate those words of Councillor Sinfield and agree wholeheartedly that the balance I think struck in this document is a good one, and commend this motion to my fellow councillors.
Thank you. And I notice Councillor Abuki. Would you like to say something? No. I would, just before I put the motion to the vote, also like to agree wholeheartedly with Councillor Sinfield's comments too. I think it is a really great balance, and I think it'll be it'll be fantastic for some of those community groups to have access to some of our incredible facilities. So thank you for your work on this. And if anyone else would like to speak? No? I will now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Wood. We now move to item 8.5, the contract 2024/35 Weed Control and Clearance Services. This item will be introduced by Sean Martin, Manager of Facilities, Waste and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. The proposed weed control and clearance service contract seeks to appoint a qualified and experienced contractor to provide weed control and clearance services at regular intervals across roads, right-of-ways, open drains and services, walkways, shopping centres, car parks and other miscellaneous sites. The service under this contract will adhere to specified frequencies and working hours with flexibility to provide additional reactive services as needed and at the discretion of the contract supervisor. In preparation for renewing this contract and in response to resident feedback, council officers have conducted a review of our services, benchmarking them against neighbouring councils. As a result, we have increased the spray frequency service in our right-of-ways. Based on our research, this enhanced service level will provide greater benefits to our community at a reasonable cost. The tender process has been undertaken in accordance with Council's procurement policy, and this report seeks to award contract number 2024/35 Weed Control Service Clearance Services to Metro Enviro Maintenance Proprietary Limited, trading as Eldrin Services, at their tendered schedule of rates for an initial period of 3 years with the option of 2 increments of 1-year extensions with a possible maximum term of contract of 5 years. The officer's recommendations are contained within the report, and I ask Council to consider the report for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Pattis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Mr. Martin. How do we ensure that our suppliers are not using any substances that may pose health risks to the community or dangers to the environment? For example, do we check on a regular basis that any chemicals used by our contractors are not banned on banned lists in Australia or other countries?
Thank you, Councillor Pattis, and through you, Madam Mayor. Under the contract specifications, a contractor is required to use and apply a bioactive glyphosate-based herbicide product only as per the manufacturer's instructions and in compliance with the Australian Pesticides and Veterinary Medicines Authority, who is the relevant regulatory body. The contractor shall hold a commercial operator's licence to apply ground chemicals and the application of herbicides for landscape weed control. The licence will be submitted to the supervisor of the contract for verification on commencement of the contract. The contractor must meet all requirements for the maintenance of the licence, including record keeping, training, transporting and storage of herbicides as required by the federal regulator. If the contractor wishes to spray an alternative herbicide, they must obtain written authorisation from the contract supervisor. Additionally, the contractor must adhere to all relevant environmental legislation and guidelines. We also require them to prepare an environmental management plan at the commencement of the contract. Compliance with the above elements is incorporated within the contract performance management system, which includes the monitoring of service delivery compliance in monthly and yearly contract meetings.
Thank you. Councillor Osborne-Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Just one question, if I may, Mr. Martin. Could you explain, perhaps for the benefit of fellow councillors and the public, how this contract overlaps with other infrastructure that's owned by different authorities, power poles, water authorities, waterways, private car parks, etc., just to give us a feel for it?
Under this contract, Council does maintain weed control services for some Vic roads. So we do spray those roads as well. We are paid a minor service fee for these. It's very minor, if I can say that. But we do not spray on private roads or private infrastructure. We only spray on council-based infrastructure. Sometimes this can cause issues in laneways where you have opening to a private property, and council contractors will not spray in these instances. So it's only on our infrastructure.
And power poles and...
Power poles, and we don't spray on power poles. They, when they're in the in the medium strip, then they're required by the relevant authority for the given space.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Friend Pereira.
Thank you, Mayor. On page 4 of the report, there's reference to customer and benchmarking reviews, which led to a decision to go from 3 sprays to 6 sprays. Can you just elaborate as to what those customer reviews and the benchmarking were? Because that's obviously a doubling in the service we're providing.
Yes. Council receives an average of 5 inquiries per week regarding our weed control and clearance services. These requests often arise due to delays in service and uncontrolled weed growth. In response to this feedback from residents, we conducted a benchmarking exercise with 3 other local councils, neighbouring councils, to compare their level of service to ours. Our benchmarking revealed that an increased spray frequency has led to positive results in other councils. Although the increased frequency is more expensive, it has remained within our the expenses covered within council budget, and based on our research, we believe that selecting this option will enhance the service provided to our community for a reasonable cost.
Thank you. If I could follow up on one point from that. So 5 inquiries a week, so we're looking at approximately more than 100 over the course of a year. I guess my question is, I'm happy for you to take this on notice if not readily available. Are some of those inquiries related to maybe people having concerns about, as to Councillor Pattis's question, the chemicals being used and how it's been used?
Thank you for the question through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, we have a number of concerns from the public regarding glyphosate usage within the spaces, and we do have from time to time requests that we do not spray some areas, which we generally comply with at the residents' request. The frequency, it's just an average that we've given on the requests. Obviously, during the spring and summer periods when growth is at its maximum, that those inquiries certainly increase, and the time spent on managing the contracting and managing the service certainly increases as well.
Thank you. Councillor Franco.
Thank you. Just following on from my colleagues' questions, given the significant number of requests that Council receives in relation to this matter, should Council pass this motion? Is it possible for Council officers to contact those residents who've reached out to us requesting increased weed management and notify them of the decision?
Thank you for the question, Councillor, and through Madam Mayor. We can contact those residents that have contacted us through our CRM system and update them on the proposed service and the enhanced service.
Thank you. I think it would be a good idea. Thank you.
Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion? Councillor Pattis.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm prepared to move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Baillieu.
So seconded.
To assist the mover, is there anyone opposed? Councillor Pattis, as the mover of the motion, do you wish to speak to it?
No, thank you, Madam.
So I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Mr Martin. We'll now move to item 8.6, contract 2018/177 and 2020/117, proposed variations for the Kew Recreation Centre. This item will be introduced by Anthony Kyprios, the Manager of Capital Projects.
through you, Mayor. This report seeks council approval of 3 contract variations for consultancy services relating to the Kew Recreation Centre redevelopment that exceed officer delegations. These contracts have expenditure above the initial approved contract values. The contracts relate to architectural services, project management services, and superintendent services. Following the roof collapse in 2022, additional consultancy services have been required to support the project. Consultants have been required to undertake additional service works, support with planning to return the project to a new program, and complete the original project scope, including contract administration over an extended period of time. There has also been additional works relating to the decision to move to an all-electric facility. The expenditure under these contracts is in accordance with Council's adopted 2025-26 budget. Officers are requesting Council support for the 3 consultancy services contracts relating to the Kew Recreation Centre redevelopment for the 25-26 financial year. Thank you.
Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Galt.
Happy to move a motion when the time is right.
Thank you, Councillor Galt. Councillor Sinfield.
No, no question.
I think the time might be right. Councillor Galt. Councillor Bailey, did you have a question? No. Councillor Galt. Thank you.
Terrific. I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Sinfield.
Happy to second.
To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? No. Councillor Gold, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just very, very briefly. I'd just like to thank the officers for the very detailed report and also for keeping us up to speed with this in steering committees throughout the year. None of this is a surprise to us, and I think we've been pretty well briefed on it as we went by and expected it. So thank you again. I commend it to all my colleagues tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Gold. I will now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Ms Kipros. We'll now move to item 8.7, opportunity to participate in advocacy about a glass recycling service. This item will be introduced by Daniel Freer, Director of Places and Spaces.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. As part of the statewide standardisation and reform of the waste sector, Council is required to introduce a glass collection service by July 2027. In planning for this work, Boroondara has joined a group of other local governments to research the costs and impacts of a new service. It would likely cost Boroondara in the order of a capital investment of $6 million to implement the service, with an annual $2.5 million requirement for the delivery of the service ongoing. There are a number of challenges in delivering this service. They've been outlined in the paper in more detail. However, I will say there are relatively small volumes of glass in our waste streams as they are now, and with the continuation rollout of the container deposit scheme and a broadening of the application of that scheme, that volume of material will only drop. New vehicles would be required to service this contract and would have, of course, increased emissions in running those around the city. There are a number of properties in Boroondara that would struggle to house a 4th bin on their property. There are a number of alternatives to the glass service which would still deliver quality outcomes, which have been outlined in the paper, and it is our view that we should continue to work with the state government in exploring those services for Boroondara. There are 3 parts to the resolution tonight. The first is to be part of the joint advocacy collective group represented initially by the Maroondah City Council. The second is Council's advocacy position for its own position. And the third is to continue constructive discussions with the Victorian State Government in regard to rolling the system out into the future. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Freer. Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Sinfield.
No question. Happy to move a motion when the time is right.
Councillor Hollingsworth.
Pipped at the post.
Councillor Friend-Pereira.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Freer, could you allude to how much the cost of the rollout is predicted to cost Council if we were to go ahead with the 4th bin at this point in time?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. We estimate the capital cost to be in the order of $6 million and the annual operating cost of that to be $2.5 million.
No further questions. Councillor Simfield.
The officer's recommendation, please.
Thank you. Councillor Hollingsworth, would you like to second that?
Very happy to second, thank you.
Thank you. To assist the mover, is there anyone opposed? Councillor Simfield, as the mover, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. Just briefly, this position is a good one for us to take, and I wholeheartedly endorse the report and the position of advocacy that we're taking on this. As a member of the Waste Advisory Committee, I'm well across the amount of effort and time that officers have put in behind the scenes preparing this and in the research that has been done. Joining with the other municipalities is exceptionally important to better leverage not just what the Metropolitan Council's position is on this, but across Victoria, this has been the glass recycling program has been imposed upon us, and I think there's a lot of work to be done to reach the right position that works for our community, but also works for our bottom line. So thank you. I commend the report to my colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Simfield. Councillor Hollingsworth, as a seconder, would you like to speak?
Thank you. Look, I appreciate it's unopposed, but in addition to what Councillor Simfield just said, I also want to thank the officers. This is a very good report, and the opportunity to collaborate with neighbouring councils is always very good for networking. But the other aspect I wanted to highlight is that we are a fairly congested community. We have a very high ratio of schools, both primary and secondary and tertiary education. And at rubbish collection time, waste collection time, our roads are gridlocked. We do not need a fourth collection in streets where it's almost near impossible to have traffic movement. So I fully support this and thank everyone for the efforts that have been involved in bringing us to the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollingsworth. I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Freer. We'll now move to item 8.8, parking ticket machine asset renewal options. And this item will be introduced by Paul Mitchellmore, Manager of Civic Services.
Good evening. Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. This report outlines options for the renewal of Burundara's 95 paid parking machines that have reached the end of their recommended operating life. The machines have served the Burundara community well for the last circa 14 years, but now require increasingly frequent and reactive maintenance to remain functional, which is degrading parking user experience and reducing council revenue. We're excited to present the Council with 4 implementation options for renewal. The officer recommendation in the report is option 1A. We've made minor modifications to the wording of the recommendation to be clearer. The Council resolved to replace the machines with new ones, including reducing machines from 95 to 69 in select locations and reducing machines that accept coins from 95 to 44. So this is a majority replacement of machines with new ones, which would also include the introduction of virtual machines, which is app-based machines, which would be placed where physical machines used to be located, but have been removed and are now operating via what's called a QR code, which would provide a guest user experience for a one-off parking event. This option acknowledges that whilst coin usage is falling, it is still accessed in some locations by a percentage of users that warrants supporting it as an ongoing but substantially limited offer. Option 1B also proposes 69 physical machines and 26 virtual machines, but all physical machines would accept card only and with pay by phone app only. This would see coins removed as an offer. Option 2 involves the removal of all physical machines and removing to all virtual machines only, while option 3 defers the replacement of machines for 1 year. The recommended option in the report will allow council to benefit from modern technology that will significantly improve the experience for our customers. including the removal of several issues such as the current pay and display ticket on the dashboard system. At the same time, this option will meet the needs of those who prefer to pay with cash and allow for the gradual introduction of and community acceptance of virtual machines. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Pattis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got a few questions. I'd just like you to give us a little bit of leeway because this discussion could get a little bit complicated in terms of the number of options. So, and I'd like to foreshadow a motion as well.
Why don't we start with your questions and we'll go from there.
So the first question is, do we actually have data on what proportion of drivers in our community have no access to an app, no access to a debit card, and no access to a credit card? Would you like me to repeat that, Madam Mayor?
No, I think we got the question. Mr Mitchell-Moore, are you happy to answer that question?
Through you, Madam Mayor. No, the report doesn't have that data, Councillor.
Thank you. Second question is just for clarification. So apps like PayStay don't require a machine. You go with your phone and you log in and you basically effectively have a parking ticket that's virtual. And here we're talking about machines. So my question is it not possible to have apps like PayStay everywhere in our community, everywhere in our city where there is parking? And then we have the additional option of what type of machine we have in that area. Because the report seems to indicate to me that some locations are going to have card machines and coin machines, but it doesn't actually clarify that in fact apps can be everywhere. So you don't need a machine to pay for a parking ticket. Could you just clarify that apps like PayStay are going to be available everywhere where we have parking, paid parking?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, the PayStay app can be accessed from anywhere all the time, independent of a machine, as long as you're in the right zone that you're parking your vehicle in.
So last question. So what you call a virtual machine is effectively a fourth option. The first option being the app, second option being coins, third option being a card, and the fourth option being a virtual machine. Am I correct that we actually have 4 options in all locations?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it's an additional option to pay. So the virtual machine is one of 4 ways that you could pay for a parking session. We haven't sequenced them in a number, but there are 4, and that would be one of them. Can you just repeat the other part of your question, Councillor?
The report seems to indicate that we have 3 options in every location: coins, cards, or the virtual machine. But we actually have 4 options, the fourth one being the app, which we can use everywhere. So even if there are no machines, we can still use an app. I just want to clarify that that's the case, because the report it's not obvious when you read it. Could you just clarify that? Because it'll be important when we come to the motion.
Through yourself, Mayor, that's correct. The app will be available in all locations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Galt.
Thank you very much. Some of my questions are a little bit like Councillor Pattis's, but a bit different. You've had access to surrounding councils, and they've adopted a different array of mix of parking machines. From that, did you detect any major significant problems where credit cards were a major payment mechanism? Have we come across any major difficulties with our colleagues in adjoining suburbs?
Through you, Madam Mayor. No, we haven't collected any research or data that indicates that paying via a card is causing significant problems in bordering or any councils we benchmarked.
Okay, if I can ask a couple more questions. With the machine that you call the virtual machine, and notwithstanding what Councillor Pattis has just addressed as an app, how would you anticipate this would work?
Through you, Madam Mayor. The virtual machines are a touch plate that has a certain kind of technology called NFC, which is called Near Field Communication. It ranges to 4 metres, so it takes a customer to walk up with their device, tap it close to that plate, and commence a guest session. The options in the paper propose that those touch plates or virtual machines go where physical machines used to be, so that there is not too much of a gap or walking distance between access points for customers to be able to start a parking session.
Okay, thank you. And if I could ask one final question. I had understood that a number of machines were being dropped out, which the motion suggests. And I'd understood that the walking distance would become greater for many people to get to an actual machine that they could use in any way, shape or form. It's since been explained to me, and I apologise if this is clear in the report, I missed it, but it would be that in between machines, physical machines, the normal machines we're used to seeing, is where we will locate the virtual machines. So, and that's not clear, I believe, from this motion at all. So we can go part distance and use a virtual machine, or go a little bit further and go to, if you're more comfortable in using a solid real machine on a stand, you could do that, and that's within the distances mentioned in the report. If you can just clarify that point, it'd be appreciated.
Through you, Madam Mayor. To clarify the point, there is not a virtual machine is not placed in between every physical machine. In some locations it is, but there are still many pre-existing locations that still have machines in their original location. So the walking distance has increased, but only marginally, by under 10 metres. And also with the new parking technology, customers will no longer need to return to their vehicle to put a ticket on the dashboard. They'll be able to carry on with their activities from the machine that they accessed.
All right. Whilst I said that was the final question, I'm still not clear on where we would place the virtual machines. What positions would we adopt to have those in?
Through you, Mayor, thank you for waiting. So there are 95 machines located today. The proposal is that all of those locations will still have either a machine or a virtual touch plate replaced in those locations. So a customer's walking distance in the future will not change or diminish between a physical machine or a virtual machine. And that is how the strategy's been laid out.
I'm not clear that that explains and answers my question. So in some instances, we may walk this larger distance, which I'm comfortable with because you don't have to go back to your car. Sometimes when you get to the end of that journey, which isn't huge, you will have a physical machine, and in other times you will have a virtual machine. That is not how it was explained to me earlier today. So you could end up with either type of apparatus or mechanism for payment at the end of that walk, and the walk in both cases could be the larger distance. Is that correct?
The walk to a machine, either a virtual or physical, will be exactly the same. Now, at the moment, the walk is to only a physical machine. So the machines will be replaced in the exact same locations, and in some instances, those replaced machines will be virtual. In fact, in 26 instances of the 95. In all other instances, it will be full replacement of a coin machine. So that will mean that in some situations, if you want a coin/card machine, not a virtual machine, there will be a little bit longer distance. But if you're happy with either, there'll be no increase in distance walking at all.
When you say there's no increase, that's over the larger distance specified in your report?
No, that's from current situation now.
Current situation.
Because the replacement is to the exact same location. So it'll either be in one hand, the exact location will be replaced with a full coin and card machine. In some situations, it will be replaced. In 26 situations, it will be replaced with a virtual machine. So if you're happy with either virtual or full coin card machine, either one, you're happy with either, there will be no change in the distance you walk now from your car.
But in the
It's
case...
you're only increasing the walking distance if you do not want to use a virtual machine and you only want a coin machine. That's the only time you'll increase your walking distance.
And that walking distance, if you could just confirm for me, is the larger distance specified in the report?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Obuki.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr Mitchell-Moore, for your report. I just have a question around option 2, which is not recommended. I'm trying to understand where you say that Boroondara is still receiving between 8.3% of its revenue via cash, with up to 25% in some machines. Are those machines located in various areas, or are you saying that there are just random machines that have no pattern in location that are receiving up to 25% in cash payments?
Through you, Mayor. Thanks for the question. There is a pattern, not across the board, but predominantly the pattern we picked up is cash is used more frequently for short-term stay or on-street parking where there's 1 hour. So those machines have the highest percentage of cash usage compared to off-street car parks, which are 2+ hours.
Thank you. And just one more question. When you say in your report that North Sydney Council took the option of removing all cash payments and replaced them with virtual machines, that there was considerable customer and resident objection, and that council did a limited unwind of their approach. Could you just give me more detail around that, please?
Through you, Mayor. We haven't contacted that council directly, but it's in the media, it's very researchable, and it happened last year in 24. So they were forced to provide increased options for payments after the community feedback that they received.
Councillor Franco.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to get a clearer understanding of option 2 and option 1B and the payment mechanisms, because it's not absolutely clear to me. So these questions follow on a bit from what some of my colleagues have asked. Is it the case that under all options, everywhere, we will have a pay-stay facility payment option? Is that a yes or no? So under every option, everywhere?
Through you, Mayor, yes, everywhere.
Excellent. Under option 1B, I'll start with that one. These are the conventional machines that you can tap on with a debit card and a credit card and also put coins in, correct?
Through you, Mayor. Card only is for option 1B.
No, that wasn't my question. I'll ask the question again. The machine in question in 1B that's priced up here is a machine that can accept card, credit card and debit card, and can accept coin, but you're switching the coin off, but can accept coins if we wanted to go back and switch coins on. Is that correct?
Through you, Mayor, thank you for the clarification. The 1B machines are priced without coins. Some vendors in the market will be able to bring a coin box in afterwards, some can't.
under option 2, the virtual machine, because I'm still not clear, is the virtual machine simply the PayStay app, or are we talking about a physical infrastructure on the footpath?
Through you, Mayor. The virtual machine is designed to look like a parking point. So there is physical infrastructure that is attached on street, usually to a sign pole.
So it's a physical device on the footpath?
Through you, Mayor. Yes, it's a physical device. It's a case with a chip reader inside it.
And can you tap a credit card or a debit card on it?
Through you, Mayor. For a virtual machine, no. You use your mobile phone device, so you are not using your credit or debit card.
When you say you can use your phone, what do you mean? Use your PayStay app on your phone or your credit card or debit card on your phone?
Through you, Mayor. You are conducting an internet-based transaction similar to PayStay, but you can do it either through PayStay or through a guest account.
Okay, if I might, Mayor, because that's not clear to me. Any one of us goes out and uses the PayStay app, we don't need a physical device on the road. So I'm standing next to my car, I log into PayStay, I pay. What advantage does this device give me over the PayStay app, or how does it help me use the PayStay app?
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Frank. I've just had some clarification as well to assist here. If you are accessing the virtual machine, your online transaction would allow you to enter credit card details. So you are spending via your credit card, but you're not tapping with your physical credit card. So I hope that clarifies for you.
So you can use...
Just to clarify, there is no need for the app. So that's the advantage of using the virtual machine, that you can tap your phone, that includes your credit card details, but you do not need to register and log into an app. So that's the difference between just using the app at any point, in any way, from information contained on parking signs. That's the advantage of the virtual machine.
So in the event, for example, a person's out there, their phone dies, freezes, whatever problem. They've got a plastic debit card because they're elderly and they use debit cards. They've got a pensioner account and they come with their debit card. They can't tap their phone. Can they still pay using this virtual machine? They've got a plastic card. They know what the number is. Can they pay?
Through you, Mayor. No, they wouldn't be able to pay.
So the machine does not really do anything. You cannot pay, because before the director said that you could pay with a credit card, and previously you said, Mr. Mitchell-Moore, that you would be able to enter the details. Now you're reversing the advice given to the elected councillors and saying you cannot use your credit card on this virtual device.
Councillor Franco, I think you've made your point. I think the council... Can you just hold please for a sec? Council officers, so do you want to just clarify, you can't tap your credit card, but you could tap a phone and through that enter credit card details?
That's correct. It's the phone tap credit card that can be achieved on the virtual machine. The physical card tap would need to be on the hard machines, the full machines.
But the advantage of the virtual machine is that you don't have to have an account with PayStay or one of the other. You can just tap as an unregistered user.
Correct. That's with your mobile phone credit card. The physical credit card you can tap without, again, having the app on the other machines.
Yep.
And the distances are outlined in the paper to get to the coin card machines and virtual machines. That's right.
Thank you. Councillor Franco, can I just ask you to mind your tone with the council officers? Thank you.
Can a person who's parking one of these virtual machines, they've got a plastic card, they can't tap it on, can they enter manually with their finger the card number?
No, I don't believe that that's possible on any of the devices. I could seek clarification on that. I don't believe that can be physically put into the devices. That's where the app would be the method of paying via credit card details.
Thank you. And just a final question. The report doesn't mention how we collect cash. Do we have a separate contract for that? And how much do we pay and how do we manage that?
Through you, Mayor, we currently have a separate contact with NPS Services. So last financial year, we paid $21,000 for that contract for coin collection.
Thank you.
Councillor Nolan.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr Mitchell-Moore and Mr Walker as well for all this information. Just on the last point there, Mr Mitchell-Moore, the costs under 1A you said were 20,000, but I think if I read the report correctly, it would be 10,000 in what's proposed in 1A. Is that correct?
Through you, Mayor, is that regarding the coin collection cost, Councillor?
For the contract coin collection.
Yes, so last financial year with the full fleet of machines, it was $21,000. In the proposed option 1A, the coin machines would be halved, so we would expect that $21,000 expense to be halved as well.
Thank you. Couple of questions. So can you just give, for the benefit of everyone, the councillors, the revenue in 24-25 for coin and cash?
Through you, Mayor, I'll just have to take that on notice, but we can find that information for you in a few minutes, Councillor, if that's all right.
Yep, thank you. I think it was in the Teams Q&A. Second question, following on from Councillor Pattis's, one of Councillor Pattis's question, is there any way of knowing whether somebody who did use coin or cash had a preference for using coin or cash, or whether it was out of necessity or they only have coin and cash? Are there people in our community that would come to a parking meter only with coin or cash, or do they have the option? Do we have any of that data?
Through you, Mayor, we haven't undertaken any community consultation or external community research as part of this report, so I wouldn't be able to answer why people may or may not be able to pay via different channels. The report has focused on the data of the payment information that we do have, which shows that everybody is still accessing every possible option.
Thank you. So if you can, I think from memory that the revenue for coin and cash was 209,000, and I think from reading what you wrote earlier, I think the costs for collection of cash were 27,000 and the revenue was 209,000. Does that sound about right?
Through you, Mayor. That data is correct. 209,000 is correct, but that's not for the financial year. So that is a 12-month data point, but that's from December 23 to November 24.
Yep, thank you.
Councillor Simfield.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. I wasn't able to ascertain from the report, and my apologies if it's there and I just haven't been able to find it, how many instances of paid parking do we have in our city per year?
Through you, Mayor, we can take that on notice, Councillor Sinfield, and try to get a response to you soon if that's satisfactory.
Thank you. It will inform my decision making. has this report been prepared without community consultation?
Through you, Mayor, that is correct. There's been no community consultation for this report.
Thank you. What benchmarking, as far as lessons learnt, has been done across other municipalities? I can see benchmarking has been done as to whether coins are accepted or not, but I'm talking specifically about those experiences other cities have had with the either rollout and repeal or change and the acceptance by their community.
Through you, Mayor. Benchmarking hasn't been done thoroughly on other councils' experiences for how they've rolled out machines. We have obviously located the North Sydney experience, which we thought was quite significant. And what we have done is produced a report with the Boroondara data that we have and an option that we feel meets all users of parking within the community.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, noting the responses to those questions, and I note that Councillor Pattis has already foreshadowed a motion, but it's my suggestion for the consideration of my colleagues that perhaps this matter need to be deferred until we can find out some of this information and perhaps conduct a consultation.
Thank you, Councillor Sinfield. Councillors, do I have a seconder for that motion? Oh, judging by that finger, Councillor Galt. The whole hand. Would you like to say something?
No, but I'd be happy to support the recommendation from Councillor Sinfield.
Is anybody opposed to that?
I just want to ask the officers a question. What are the implications financially for the council if we delay this, noting that machines need to be renewed?
I'm happy for that.
Through you, Mayor. Well, we have a current estimate of $70,000 of additional expenses in the current financial year that we're in, after discussing the state of the machines with our current maintenance contractor, and additional malfunctions from there are at the moment unpredictable.
I'm happy to put the deferral motion to the vote and we can see how that goes.
Can I ask a question of my colleague, if my colleague would be, the mover would be willing to accept an amendment to the motion?
We don't have a motion.
There's no motion as yet.
There's no motion, but I don't intend for it to necessarily be moved as a procedural motion until questions have been exhausted and so forth. There's no urgency with it, but I just float it as an option.
Because it's a procedural motion, we normally hear it straight away, but if you're happy to pull it back, then we could continue questioning of officers and see whether we've got an alternate motion that the councillors are happy to go with. Are you happy with that? Thank you. So we'll come back to Councillor Pattis.
Madam Mayor, I don't know if it would be useful before we ask any more questions if I actually foreshadow what was the motion that I was
I think we might finish questions first, let people finish their questions, because not everyone's had a
So
chance to ask a question, and then I'll come back to you.
I'll ask it as a question. It seems to me there are two questions here. Whether we continue with coins and whether we put in virtual machines. They are the two questions. They are two separate questions. No one doubts the need for debit and credit cards, and no one doubts the PayStay app, because the PayStay app's available everywhere. Okay, so let's clarify. These are the two questions. Do we continue with coins, and do we start putting in virtual machines? So my question through you to officers is, could you foresee an alternative option, which is that we delay or we not put in any virtual machines, because that seems to be causing the confusion at the moment, what they can and can't do, but that we can continue down the direction of replacing or not putting in any new coin machines. So, because that option hasn't been actually looked at in the report, and what would be the implications of that if we replaced any machines, not put any more coins, but we not also put in virtual machines? That is another option I think we haven't considered.
Mayor, through yourself, it would be possible to replace all machines with card-only machines. That absolutely is an option. That on overall would cost more than the option recommended by officers, but it would avoid the scenario where there are virtual machines, and it would provide an opportunity that in all instances, a card or a physical card could be tapped to purchase the parking fee.
Through you, Madam Mayor, can you please explain why replacing a coin machine, which involves handling of money, with a card-only machine is actually more expensive, considering that we don't actually have data about whether people who are used to putting in coins can now use credit cards just as easily? How do you make that assumption that it's going to cost more?
So just in terms of the cost more, it's an overall additional cost compared to a scenario where there is a combination of physical machines and virtual machines. So that would be because in all 95 instances, the physical machines that are now at end of life would be replaced with new card-only machines instead of a combination of card coin machines, card-only machines and virtual machines, because the virtual machines virtually cost nothing.
Sorry, one more question, Madam Mayor. We could also have another option where we only replace a machine with coins when it breaks down. That's another option. That's a further option, isn't it? That we only replace those machines as they break down. And that could be actually with a card-only machine. That could also be another option. Is that true?
It is an option, and that was an option that was considered and canvassed and explored in quite a bit of detail. And there's a whole series of issues and complications that go with that scenario, particularly when we are managing multiple types of machines at different points in their life cycle, that they're not connected up. There's a whole range of issues that go with the serviceability and delivery of customer service in that scenario.
Thank you. Councillor Franco. You're okay? Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple of questions, Mr. Mitchell-Moore, with regard to the virtual sign as opposed to an actual machine. So if you were to use your phone, credit card to tap for a QR code or a virtual usage, are you limited to, for example, if it was a 1 hour car park, that it would debit from your credit card the full 1 hour? Or do you have flexibility where you could put in 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Or is it just use your virtual card and go? Because I know with PayStay, as we all know, you can set whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour.
Through yourself, just checking whether we have the knowledge around that capacity, because I think the question is essentially whether through the QR code on the phone, there is the capacity to choose within 10-minute blocks, for example, the amount that is being paid for, or whether that is a greater period that is being paid for. So, for example, in the old lollipops, you put in $2 and you get an hour's worth, and you've got no choice but to your blocks. So we might just see if Yvonne is able to answer that question.
Different providers will provide different options. That would be part of the tender process, to have a look at exactly what they can offer. Also, some providers do it via QR code, others do it by the NFC technology, which uses the chip. So it's not just like a standard, this is what you get, it depends on who we go with. So the tender would reflect the concerns of the councillors.
Thank you. So there could be potential negotiation of how it's configured.
Just further clarification, our understanding is that would be in 15-minute blocks, can be purchased through the QR code approach.
Right, so thank you. That would then work, but I'm still troubled as if you wanted half an hour, do you tap it twice to get 2 15-minute blocks? And look, sorry, I don't expect detailed answers now. I'm leaning towards...
Just to clarify, the QR code takes you to a session.
Yes.
That you then are able to choose whether you take a 15-minute block, a 30-minute block, a 45, a 1 hour. So it gives you the options of choosing in 15-minute blocks how long that you wish to purchase your parking fee for. So you then would include your registration details, and that would then enable you to start your parking fee session. Now, what you haven't had to do in that situation is go into an app and register for an app and put in all of your other details. You're able to just simply go through a QR code and purchase the amount of time that you wish to purchase.
Thank you for explaining that, because I haven't used QR code option before. And my final question, if I may, Mayor, I think part of the confusion with this issue is virtual. My understanding is virtual is not physically existing. Now, if you have to take your phone to a sign to scan a QR code, then there is a physical sign existing. So I'm just flagging this, that I find the virtual terminology troubling, but I'll just leave it for your consideration, because if there is the will of council to defer this, perhaps it's something we can talk about before it comes back.
Thanks, Mayor, and do appreciate that, through yourself, do appreciate that feedback. I think the intent here is to clarify that it's a different approach to a physical machine that where there are coin options and other options, but also a different approach to the app, which, as quite rightly pointed out in earlier questions, is available anywhere at any time, in any location within paid parking. So if you have the app, you're able to start a session and pay for that at any time. But this is a different approach again, and that's the reason for using that terminology. We're happy to contemplate and think of other terminology to try and demonstrate the distinction between the app approach or the physical machine approach.
Thank you. And final comment, if I may, I use the app all the time. I think it's wonderful, but it's just the virtual concept I struggle with, but thank you.
Councillors, I have a full board of calls here, but I'm conscious that I don't think we've heard from two councillors on this. Councillor Baillieu and Councillor Osborne-Smith, have we heard from you? So if we could hear from the two of you, John and Councillor Friend-Pereira, we've not heard from you. So we'll hear from you three in that order: Councillor Baillieu, Councillor Osborne-Smith, actually Councillor Friend-Pereira, then Councillor Baillieu, then Councillor Osborne-Smith, and then we might just do a check-in to see what we're thinking. Thank you, Councillor Friend-Pereira.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll keep it precise. And it may be an issue that maybe gets picked up more on the contracting side of things. With a app provider or even the card providers, they are not going to do this for free. They're doing this potentially for some benefit, and I understand that per session fee that they take, the clip on the ticket, so to speak, is anywhere between 5 and 12%. Has any consideration been given to that, or would that be something we would consider when we get to the contracting stage?
Through you, Mayor, no consideration has been made on that as part of this report, Councillor.
Okay, thank you. And on page 265, and I appreciate the detailed discussion, but it's in the middle of the page, first 1A, it clearly says no user account required. Personally, I welcome that, and the reason for that is concerns around personal data and information. I know there are apps out there that require an address, an email address, a phone number, and so forth and so on. My concern with moving forward into the technology space is how would we, where somebody does use the app, ensure that their data protection. There's been breaches in the Netherlands where the sister company of one of the parking app providers has had a significant leak, and personal information data has been leaked out. So again, with moving forward into this new space, how do we protect against that? Is that through the contracting process?
Through you, Mayor. Yes, certainly that would be picked up through any tender and contracting process, and we would be expecting to hear about the security measures that any potential vendor would be providing us to make sure that they were secure and met our needs.
Councillor Baillieu?
I have 4 questions and one little statement that might help fellow councillors. I just want to confirm, virtual machines are a great idea. Please don't get panicked or confused by them. They're an essential mix and they aren't taking away options. They're just adding new options. So you'll still be walking the same distance and things like that. Online or virtual options still need to be advertised. That's why they're termed virtual machines. There's still going to be a sign. So there's no way you can't have something physically there because you need to advertise the option. But my questions for officers are, what % of Australians use debit cards?
Again, through yourself, Mayor, we don't know that information offhand.
That's okay. It's in 2021, it was 96%, up from 90% in 2017. So 4 years prior, 4 years later, it's probably closer to 98% or more now, which seems very divergent from our cash usage behaviour of 10 to 24% in some of these locations, suggesting that perhaps it's usage data, not behavioural data. When it comes to virtual machines, is installing them cheap, flexible? Does it improve options, especially where we also retain digital machines, or is it not those things?
Through you, Mayor, virtual machines come with a zero-cost installation. Any points that they were installed, the only cost we'd incur would be to remove the old machine.
And last little question is, how much money do we spend on maintaining physical machines outside of cash handling? So breakdown, vandalism, essential maintenance, that kind of stuff. Because we've got the information for cash handling, but not those 3 important items.
Through yourself, Mayor, while Mr Mitchell-Moore is providing some information on that or getting some information on that particular question, we can go back to the earlier question. We've been able to get a figure on the number of transactions on a monthly basis. In the last month, it was over 21,000 transactions that involved the purchase of paid parking. That would mean that's over 250,000 transactions a year involving paid parking.
Through you, Mayor, just in relation to costs for machines, last financial year, we spent $100,000 on maintenance of the machines, and there was an additional $11,000 spent on repairing of parts, card readers, breakdowns, etc.
Do we know what percentage of that additional maintenance spend was cash machines versus digital machines?
No, I don't have that breakdown for you at the moment.
Okay. And this may be a question for Sapphire. I was just reading through the financial quarterly report that we passed moments ago. It seems that parking fine truancy has risen dramatically. Does that indicate we should perhaps look at further enforcement rapidly, or am I reading that wrong?
Thank you, Councillor. A number of years ago, so the actual collection of that is through Fines Victoria, I understand, and so we actually don't have complete oversight on, how much we can actually collect, whereas when it was within our hands, we were able to have that oversight a bit better. Sorry, I can't recall exactly who it is, so it might not be Fines Victoria.
It is Fines Victoria.
It is Fines Victoria, thank you. So there's not quite as much insight. Look, there is, most of our debtors that are on there is primarily due to parking, and it has sort of stabilised the last, it has sort of gone up the last year, of course, but it's sort of stabilised a little bit from what we've had previously as well, but I can always get some more information on that.
It looks like it's an extra $2 million a year in truancies, so it seems like paid
Mr.
parking is
Walker
important.
has a question, answer for that too.
Thanks, Mayor. Happy to, this is something that perhaps could involve a lot more detail and information about the process of following up on infringements that haven't been paid. There was a process that refers those outstanding debts to Fines Victoria. During the COVID period, the performance of Fines Victoria and following up on those debts reduced significantly, which had a consequence for council, and in fact, Burundara, along with a lot of other councils, were disappointed in the performance of Fines Victoria during that period, where the percentage of bad debts that were followed up or outstanding infringements followed up reduced significantly. And that had a consequence for councils where they needed to increase their write-off of those bad debts. There's been a number of things put in place. Firstly, Fines Victoria has improved their follow-up in more recent years, but also Council has put in place a number of initiatives to increase the percentage of payments or proportion of payments to avoid the need to refer the fines to Fines Victoria for follow-up. And we could provide more information on that through further briefings in the future.
So is it safe to assume further parking options, for example, through virtual machines, will improve compliance and reduce the amount of fines we send through to Fines Victoria?
Again, through yourself, Mayor, we're of the view that having a up-to-date, modern ecosystem, if you like, and we refer to it as an ecosystem of parking sensors, parking ticket machines, mobile app, connected up in through proper software and systems, will improve the accuracy and ability for people to pay for their parking and therefore enhance compliance and reduce infringements.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my questions.
Councillor Osborne-Smith.
Thank you, Chair. A couple of questions around the virtual machine. A little bit of uncertainty on this side of the chamber exactly what we're talking about. Could I ask the officers, do you have a photo that you could put up on screen of this? And perhaps if you're able to find that, that might be of great assistance to us, but perhaps while you're doing that, there's a bit of misunderstanding here whether what we're talking about is in fact a sign or whether it's actually an electronic box. Okay. So it's a box. It's electronic box. Okay.
Yep.
But it's not a metal sign that you.
It's not the PayStave sign.
It's not a PayStave sign or a QR. Okay. So my next. So just so I understand this clearly, in order of technology from the most ancient to the most modern, is what we're talking about really is four options. There's cash. I think we all understand that. There's a credit card, a physical credit card that we tap. There's this new introduction of these virtual machines, which are a physical box, which requires a phone touch but does not require registration. And then the fourth and most advanced, if I can call it that, is the app.
That's not an option. That's not an option.
No, I understand, but I'm just cascading through old technology, if you like, to modern. Have I got that right? There's four sort of four ways we can pay for parking in this proposal.
Through yourself, Mayor, that's correct. There are the 4 different ways of paying for the parking.
Got it. And just so I'm clear, this third way, the virtual machine, is a new, it would be new to Boroondara. So for our good folk of Boroondara who may have been used to cash in the past in a dwindling rate, are used to credit cards, and for some of us who are now used to the app, this new digital virtual machine is in fact a new type of way to pay.
That's
that we'd
correct.
be introducing. Okay. So, okay. Perhaps this is a comment, perhaps more than a question, but do you think that by introducing a new method of payment, as noble as that objective is because it avoids the need to register for an app, it is in fact perhaps leading to more confusion and more confusion as the years unfold by now having 4 methods, in your proposal, 4 methods of payment rather than the current 3?
Through you, Mayor.
It's perhaps a loaded question. I don't mean to be...
Our strategy is proposed to bring this in a modest way. So it would form part of the new mix, and it would enable us to see how the community responds and adapts to it as a 4th option to pay. We see providing users with more options, the better. It adds more convenience, and people can choose whichever method suits them best. Given the option proposes only 26 of those locations, we could scale up or wind back after the community has had a chance to adjust, and that's why the strategy has the mix that it does.
Okay, thank you for that answer. That makes good sense. Okay, I think I'll leave the questions there for the moment. Thank you very much, Chair.
Councillors,
I'd like to ask a question if I might.
can I just make a statement here? I think we've got a deferral motion potentially on the table, but what I was going to suggest is we suspend standing orders because we might have an actual motion that could work. So if we're in agreement, can someone propose a motion to suspend standing orders? Councillor Friend Pereira.
I'll move a motion to suspend standing orders.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Abuki.
Happy to second.
All those in favour? I declare standing order suspended. It's passed. Okay, we can continue the conversation. Now, Councillor Gold and Councillor Pattis, you two have indicated you might have motions to... Do you two want to kind of have a conversation about what that would look like?
Yes. I'd be happy to say if a solid motion doesn't materialise out of the discussions, I'd be happy to adopt the motion on the screen, but by replacing points 1 and 2 with different, very simple points, which I think probably encapsulates the discussions we've just had.
Councillor Gold, do you want to actually say what they are?
Are you happy for me to do that?
No.
Okay, Councillor Pattis, what do you want to do?
Okay. I just want to reiterate, we actually just have to answer 2 questions. Do we still want coin-operated machines?
Yep.
Do we want to go down the path of virtual machines? They are the 2 questions, right? We all accept the credit card and debit card because we know that 96% of our population, and increasing, have a debit card. And we all like the idea of the app because 45% or whatever people are already using it. So the only 2 questions that we need to answer is, do we want to continue with coins and do we want to start with virtual?
That's exactly right.
I think, my opinion, do you want me to go down what I was going to propose? I was going to propose a modified option 2.
Just turn your microphone back on. It was confusing as to who was next.
I was going to propose 2B, which essentially we remove coins. Because we don't have any data, in fact, and we with 96% of people who have access to a debit card, that they could make that transition over the next few years. and that we not go down the path of virtual machines just yet, because I think if we remove the coins and introduce virtual machines, I think we're doing two things at the same time, and I don't think our population is ready for that complexity. I think we modify option 2 to be the full removal and transition to card machines at this stage.
And what's the cost, additional cost of that?
And that was going to be my question.
I thought it was more expensive to do that.
Through you, Mayor. Yes, it's more expensive to put 95 machines back. We estimated, I think it was plus $200,000 on top of the proposal in the report.
We have two options. One is to do the full transition. The other one is to do it option 3, which is a phased retiring, which I know the officers have not recommended. Do we know that the difference in cost between full removal and transition to card machines or phased retiring of machines to card machines?
Yes. So just to confirm, it's $224,000 extra to put all card machines in.
How about if we transition only as they break down?
If we transition only as machines break down, well then the cost is zero today.
In other words, it doesn't cost us anything more.
We've looked at that option and to wait for machines to break down, we have recommended against. We see a lot of unexpected costs that can occur in that strategy. Should a machine break down, it can be between 2 to 3 weeks to get that machine replaced, and we're losing revenue in the meantime. We ran some numbers that for a machine to break down and be replaced, it could cost an extra $5,000 to $10,000 while waiting in lost revenue, which is the cost of a new machine.
And just final question, that 200 odd thousand, which would be the cost, what's that as a percentage of our total parking revenue? That's a one-off cost, right? The 200,000?
Hey, what's that worth?
Just roughly?
As a percentage
of the total parking revenue.
If you include the
Meter,
parking enforcement measure, but if you're talking meter revenue, it's about 1.8 million per year in parking meter revenue. So what would that be? About 12-15% of that.
Yeah, it's a one-off though, isn't it?
It's a one-off cost.
Councillor Patterson, I'm going to go to Councillor Galt now to see what his suggestion is.
Thank you. Look, I'm happy to adjust what I was about to say to what was put up on the screen most recently, which I think was an adaptation of 1B. Can we get that back up on the screen again?
Through you, Mayor, may I just say something, please?
I do, but I've got a list of people ahead of you, Councillor
Yeah, I know,
Nolan.
but I just want to correct a couple of things that have been said in the discussion which go to the motions that are being put up.
Are you happy to wait your turn? Because there's quite a few
No,
people.
because I think it's important. It's a short correction of things that I've fact-checked.
Okay, you have had your hand up for a while, so I'll allow it.
So I've heard twice that 99% of Australians have at least one debit or credit card. I've checked. 96. I've checked. That was respondents in a survey was 99%. However, 85% of consumers have a debit card linked to their bank account, and 75% of all card payments were made with a debit card. So I think we've got to be really careful using some of these numbers to discount cash and coin that aren't necessarily correct.
We still don't know.
So, Councillor Galt, we're just waiting for your...
We seem to have lost the motion, but I'm happy to summarise the essence of both points.
Yep.
I can adapt the wording to either that motion or the one before it quite simply.
Yep.
So if I could just hit the essence of it now. Reducing the 95 existing machines with... Can I continue?
You can continue, Councillor Galt.
Thank you. With 69 credit card only machines at a spacing of no more than... I'm happy with that. So The council resolved to replace the existing ticket machines with new card-only machines in 69 locations without...
That's the same as...
there's been something else added. Can I pick it up and run generally along those lines? I was going to say the spacing of no more than X metres, which is in the report. So it gives us a maximum distance between machines. And then the second point was going to be
Are you removing coins then from those 69 locations?
I'd like to.
Okay, that's good.
I think we're getting close.
Is that the same as your, it's the same motion?
Yeah, it's very close.
I'd like to ask a question that
Can I
relates
just finish,
directly to
please?
this point.
We'll let councillor Galt finish.
Maybe just finish?
Yep.
So we're pretty well agreed, is as long as we give a distance between those 69 locations. And I'm quite happy to remove, I thought that was gone, without the use of virtual machines, remove that from point 1. And from point 2, locate virtual machines where existing machines have been removed but not replaced. Full stop. Simple as that.
Can I ask a question on that?
A clarifying question on that motion?
Absolutely.
Yep.
If we were to move that, if we were to agree to that, how many coin-operated machines would we still have in the city?
My proposal is none.
That's not what it says. Just want to
It
clarify.
says replacing existing ticket machines. Oh, well, because it said before the 95 existing machines was 69.
It should say all coin ticket machines. Is that what you mean?
Happy with that.
Is it your intention that we replace all existing coin machines?
No, it's my intention that we replace all existing 95 machines with 69 card-only machines at a maximum distance of X metres.
So there being no coins?
No more coins.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the two movers in agreement.
Second
Yes.
point was really locating virtual machines where existing machines have been removed but not replaced. So it opens us up to the possibility of introducing those virtual machines, which we want to do more so over time, but it places them in spots where machines have been removed and not replaced.
And they still have the app?
They still have their app.
Is there general support for what's been put?
I'd like to ask a question in relation to this, which has material bearing on the motion that'll be passed, because I think there's some information that may be lacking.
Yes,
Thank you.
councillor Franco.
I'm wondering whether officers might comment again on this issue of virtual machines and whether additional information is required. And I specifically say that because a quick Google search has brought up the following statements. In relation to virtual systems, some systems, not all, allow you to pay directly by card at the machine or via a web app. Some, not all. So some of these virtual machines allow it. It also says many virtual parking systems accept direct payment using a credit card or a debit card at the machine. Now, this may be incorrect, but if there are virtual options that actually facilitate the payment with a credit card, and they're much more efficient from a financial outlay point of view, we might be potentially not getting the best option. So I wonder if officers can comment on that, because it seems that the key objective of perhaps a majority in the room is to no longer go down the cash route and to provide payment by credit card and debit card, tapping on, as well as the virtual app option. And the language of this virtual machines seems to be potentially confusing, particularly if there are devices out there that are more affordable that provide that technology.
I think at this point, councillor Franco, I think the officers probably have to do some further research to answer some of those questions. So what I'm going to suggest is we resume standing orders and we go back to a deferral motion that was on the table, because hearing all these questions and these motions, it sounds like, and we'll wait, we'll go back to the motion to see whether that will carry. So could I have a motion? Is someone interested in putting forward a motion to resume standing orders?
Happy to.
Can we ask more questions?
I think let's try the deferral and then we might there's too many questions that need to be answered. Councillor Sinfield,
Happy to move a resumption of standing orders motion.
do I have a seconder? Councillor Fran Pereira,
Happy to second.
all those in favour? I declare that motion carried. Standing orders resumed. Councillor Sinfield. Oh, all those against? Sorry, declare the motion carried. Okay, Councillor Sinfield.
In light of the plethora of questions that still remain unanswered and in the absence of sufficient information to make a decision on this, I recommend that we defer this item.
Are you moving a motion to defer the item? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Nolan.
I'm happy to move to second that motion.
I'm going to put that to the vote. All those in favour? Yes, I declare the motion carried. The matter is deferred. Thank you. Moving on to the next matter. We are item 8.9, the biannual report from the Audit and Risk Committee. This item will be introduced by Brian Wee, Manager of Governance and Legal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Under the Local Government Act, Council is required to have an Audit and Risk Committee, and by that same Act, Council's Audit and Risk Committee is required to report to the Council twice a year. Under the cover of this report is the report by the Audit and Risk Committee, and it seeks Council's a resolution to accept that report. Happy to take any questions.
Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Galt.
Whether I read it correctly, I apologise if I didn't, but I would see the report as primarily relating to accounting matters. Do we focus in any way, shape or form on risk? I'm thinking major risks that currently face Council. Do we address that in our Audit and Risk Committee?
The short answer, Councillor Galt, is yes, we do. At the start of each year, each financial year, the Audit and Risk Committee sets the reports that it chooses, that it seeks to receive through the year. Inevitably, each year, each report, each cycle, there is at least one risk report. For example, in the last cycle, the key risk report was the risk report relating to Council's Strategic Risk Register, creating a new Council Strategic Risk document. So you will see that in the preceding two sessions of the Audit and Risk Committee, there were reports relating to risks, to key risks.
Okay, thank you very much. So it does have the capacity to raise risks throughout the year. I'm thinking of things that, like AI has grown in its immediacy quite dramatically in recent months, particularly. And another example was we've been faced with greatly increasing costs of servicing a potentially much larger population in Boroondara. Should we be making provisions for those things?
It is those things could be raised with the Audit Risk Committee in a number of ways. The Audit and Risk Committee itself could call for reports, or the CEO could bring the matter to the Audit and Risk Committee as an emerging risk to be discussed. The Audit and Risk Committee receives quarterly also reports from the Business Enterprise Risk Committee. It's an officers committee, and that committee does on its quarterly cycle consider emerging risks up to and including AI. So for example, when the Chinese Gen AI application was banned by state and federal government, that was brought to the Business Enterprise Risk Committee, which escalated to the Audit and Risk Committee, which considered that issue.
Thank you.
In respect of AI.
Thank you. Councillor Abuki.
No questions, but I'd like to foreshadow a motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pattis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I know as part of our contract processes, we have clauses to manage the quality of our suppliers. And I know we have things like the Supplier Code of Conduct, and I know that we do have the option to audit any of our suppliers, as we've heard tonight. What I'd like to ask is that the Audit and Risk Committee is the place where we can be more proactive, and in fact, not just rely on contracts, but where we can make, for example, surprise audits. So my question is, as part of our audit and risk processes, do we have a section on suppliers, and do we have, through the year, conduct audits on our suppliers to ensure they are in fact complying with the clauses in their contracts?
Through you, Chair. The Audit and Risk Committee doesn't primarily deal with the risks you speak of. In my view, that sits with Council operationally. It is a contractual management issue rather than, while the Audit and Risk Committee might have broad compass over risks to Council, it tends to focus on the higher level risks. And if we are talking about specific risks in relation to auditing specific contracts, which is done, then that is generally a matter, an operational matter that's contractually controlled. And it reflects the, so my colleagues have spoken about contractual controls, and that's the first layer of control that we have. If somebody breaches a contract, it could be a serious breach or it could be a minor breach, and that could lead to the contract being terminated. There is the Supplier Code of Conduct, but there is also bespoke approaches that officers would apply to specific contracts. So for example, my colleague Mr. Martin spoke about specific specifications that relate to contracts relating to weed management. And as you spoke about earlier in terms of catering contracts, officers will include in procurement particular tests or particular requirements for the contractor to demonstrate. For service contracts, for example, like security contracts, this was put into place. Also for that the contractor demonstrates that they have systems in place to ensure compliance with fair work requirements and ensure compliance with superannuation.
Perhaps, Madam Mayor, if I could add, I noted Councillor Pattis's comment earlier in relation to this, and I don't think that part of your question was actually answered.
Correct.
My observation is that you've raised something which we have the ability to do, but have actually not been doing. And on that basis, what I'd suggest is that I certainly will take away from here the opportunity to pilot a couple of audits in different contracts and see how that goes. Typically, we would respond to a problem. The Audit Committee, Audit Risk Committee, is responding to strategic risks, which would generally be much higher order than this. Not to say this is unimportant, but I'd suggest that what we do is try a couple of audits with some of these larger contracts and actually see what we learn.
And provide a report back to the Audit Committee.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Bookie, we might come back to you now for your motion.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I would like to move that we accept the officer's recommendation as it appears on the screen.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Sinfield.
Happy to second.
To assist the mover, is there anyone opposed? Councillor Bookie, as the mover of the motion, would you like to speak to it?
Only to say thank you through you, Chair, that the committee's work is really important, gives us confidence in our governance, risk management and financial oversight, and that we're meeting our obligations to the community and according to the Local Government Act. I want to thank the officers who've put this report together and also the members of the Audit and Risk Committee for the time and the expertise they bring. Their work gives Council and the community confidence that risks are being managed and that our ratepayers' money is being used responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bookie. I will now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 8.10, recommendations of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 18th of June 2025. This item will be introduced by Brian Wee, Manager of Governance and Legal.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. This report brings the recommendations from the most recent Audit and Risk Committee, which was held on 18 June 2025. It sets out the issues and reports tabled. It lists the recommendations the Audit and Risk Committee has put to this council, and critically, it involves this council endorsing the asset accounting policy, which came before the Audit and Risk Committee, as well as the Audit and Risk Committee charter, which was minorly amended, and its annual work program for the coming financial year. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr Wee. Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillor Simfield.
No question, but ready with a motion.
Thank you. No further questions. Councillor Simfield.
The officer's recommendation, thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Abuki.
Happy to second.
To assist the mover, is anyone opposed? No. Councillor Simfield, as the mover of the motion, do you wish to speak to it?
I think the report speaks for itself. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We'll now move to item 8.11, proposed Boroondara motions for the MAV State Council on the 10th of October 2025. This item will be introduced by Brian Wee, the Manager of Governance and Legal.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, the Municipal Association of Victoria represents the 79 councils in Shire and City Councils in Victoria. The MAV meets twice a year at State Council, at which motions are put to State Council by individual councils. For a motion to be put to State Council, the State Council rules require that the motion proposed is passed by the submitting council. For the upcoming 10 October 2025 State Council meeting, where we are represented by Councillor Hollingsworth, we have a proposed motion for your consideration.
Councillors, are there any questions of officers? Councillors, is anyone prepared to move a motion? Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Nolan.
Happy to second.
To assist the mover, is there anyone opposed? No. Councillor Hollingsworth, as the mover, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr Wee. I would like to speak briefly about the motion and just state that the motion is to advocate to the Victorian Government through the support of MAV as the peak body to amend the townhouse and low-rise code canopy requirements to 30% on development lots so that that can continue to contribute to tree canopy within Boroondara and metropolitan Melbourne. At the moment, with the recent planning reforms, there is a risk that some developments will only be held to have a 10% tree canopy cover, which is a 20% loss of what we believe was the state objective. But as part of the planning reforms with the deemed to comply assessment process, we are concerned that there is a potential risk of increase of loss of additional trees. And I'd just like to make a very brief comment with regard to our community plan. The draft plan that's gone out to consultation is endorsed by Council this evening. It's very clear that our community rates tree canopy as a very high priority within Boroondara Council to provide advocacy to support a vibrant ecosystem where tree canopy and natural habitats are protected, restored and expanded, and this is what this objective of the motion would achieve. And I would encourage my councillor colleagues to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollingsworth. Councillor Nolan, as a seconder, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I do. Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I also would like to commend the MAV for their advocacy, not only on electrical line clearance and other issues, but this very important issue of protecting trees on private land under planning. We know we're doing a really good job on public land and council controlled, but this is really important on private land to make sure we hit our targets. And I would also like to take the opportunity to thank Councillor Hollingsworth for all of her strong advocacy and work at the MAV as well. So I'll commend this as well.
Thank you, Councillor Nolan. I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. We will now move to item 8, general business. Councillor Nolan, I believe we have conflicts of interest in this item of general business. Councillor Nolan, your declaration.
Yes, I'd like to declare that I've got a material conflict in
leave of absence.
In leave of absence.
Thank you. Before this item begins, I also formally declare that I have a conflict of interest on this matter. So once I've made this declaration, I'll vacate this chair and leave the chamber for discussion and vote on this matter. At this time, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Victor Franco will assume the position of the chair for the duration of this item.
Councillors, I'm in search of a mover for the following motion as appearing on the screen behind me. Is it up? Okay. So the motion that Council resolves to, 1, grant Councillor Tawney a leave of absence for 21st of August and to grant Councillor Nolan a leave of absence from 6 to 20 December. So, Councillor Ibuki, would you like to move?
Thank you. Happy to move the motion. Thank you.
And Councillor Osborne-Smith, second?
Happy to second. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, I'll put it to the vote. Votes in favour? Motion carried. Thank you.
Move on to item 9, urgent business. Are there any items of... Oh, there's more items of general business.
Yes, please.
Councillor Friend-Pereira.
Thank you. With your indulgence, and I know it's getting late, I just want to acknowledge the phenomenal Coachella-themed trivia night put on by the Ashburton Parents Association on the 16th of August. It was a fantastic event and greatly enjoyed by all. I also want to acknowledge a recent email I got from Estrella Kinder, who reported that they had fundraised over $10,000 from trivia and other fundraising events in the last 6 months, which again is a stunning testimony to community sentiment in Ashburton and Glen Iris. And finally, I attended a fantastic Baha'i Community Conversations event the week before last, and I would like to commend to the community. The next one is on the 19th of September. It was very good, very contemplative, and very good to be able to slow down and actually consider some philosophical and existential questions about good in the world, and well worth doing. And that's on at Hawthorne Library on the 19th of the 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Friend-Pereira. Councillor Nolan.
I'd just like to acknowledge everyone involved with the citizenship ceremony of the last Wednesday at the Hawthorne Arts Centre. A massive number of people were sworn in as citizens, and it went really smoothly. There was such a buzz. It was so exciting to see citizens who were sworn in, how exciting it was, and how, just straight out exciting for them and their families, friends, some relatives flying in from India, etc. So, really well done to all the officers and everyone involved.
Thank you, Councillor Nolan. Councillors, any further items of general business? No, we'll move on to item 9, urgent business. Councillors, are there any items of urgent business? No. Any items of confidential business? Item 10? No, there are no items of confidential business. This brings us to the end of the order of business for this meeting. Thank you all who have joined us in the gallery and online this evening, and I now declare the council meeting closed.